I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. I was trying to do a bit of research, where to begin with the interview. And the first thing to say is, my goodness, you've been absolutely prolific. You've got so many different things coming up. So you've definitely been a busy bee.
Yes, which is what we'd all rather be. Well, for me anyway.
Absolutely. Maybe we can start with one of the most recent things you put out, this incredible new song, Midnight, and this wonderful video, which obviously you've done with your sister.
Yeah.
Maybe just tell us a bit about it. And, I love the fact that it was almost kind of spontaneous, actually, that she came on and did the vocals and you did this wonderful video. So tell us a bit about the track and the video you've made for it.
So the track, I think I first started writing the song about 4 or 5 years ago. I'd actually just been on holiday for a mad kind of 2 or 3 days, kind of like a long weekend in, I think it was Bucharest, and I was due to come back. I was with my girlfriend, and I missed my flight, and I basically ended up sleeping on the airport floor until like 6 in the morning. And when I finally got back to England, I'd been traveling for what felt like years, and I arrived on my 27th birthday, and the sun was out and it was so beautiful. And I remember hearing a melody of what I sing in Midnight, and I played that kind of little sliding guitar bit at the beginning. And that's kind of all I had. I had that little entrance, and then I had the melody for the chorus and something about midnight. And I think it took me a couple of years of just knowing that it existed, not forcing it too much. And then finally, I think we'd come out of our first or second lockdown, and I had a month in and out of the studio where I kind of just add little bits and I'd kind of just layer it like that. And there was one day when I'd mastered the song, sorted the whole thing out. I was going to go to Ireland the next day for a TV show that I'd landed. And so I had to rush back. I think it had to be at home for 5 o'clock, let's say, to get a COVID test. And I'd got home, and my mum, Florence, was there. And my mum was like, "Oh my God, you should get her to do some backing vocals. I hadn't seen Flossie in a few weeks, and I didn't know she'd be there." And I was thinking, "Mum, I've finished the song, please, I don't want any more stress." Sat in the car and I drove to the shop, I think, with Flo. And the song was playing and she was singing along. And I was like, maybe Mum's right. Maybe you should. She was like, "Yeah, but dude, I don't want to impose, like it's your baby." I was like, "No, I think Mum's right." So we basically rushed the studio, put the vocals down for 30 minutes or whatever, rushed back for my COVID test, and I was off to Ireland. And then the video was kind of similar to that. I mean, when songs are important to me, you want to do as much with them as possible. So a video was always a no-brainer, really. But it was getting us in the same country, let alone in the same city, for more than a few days is very difficult. So we had a moment and we just went with it. We used, the family restaurant, and I used lots of wonderful people that I love working with, dear friends. It was a small, tight-knit group, but it was a real takes a village mentality, and we hustled for 2 days and got it done.
Yeah, and I love the fact that really kind of like, reflects the sentiment of the song, kind of like this love kind of blossoming on the dance floor. So was that kind of the idea behind it, to kind of capture that feeling, capture that moment in a video?
Yeah, 100%. The song is just meant to be a kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling song that's two people that want to be with each other, basically. And people can decide, how long they've known each other, these two characters, or whether they've just met. It doesn't really matter. It's just about that feeling, and kind of one person hanging on their phone, the other person kind of just trusting that the world's all gonna work out. And maybe they'll come together, and then about that moment when they come together, and it feels like they're the only two people in the world.
And coming to kind of your broader kind of music career and your discography and how this song might fit in, because of course you self-released an album back in 2013, and you've kind of had such a rise since then. So many amazing songs put out, and so many streams on Spotify. So have you got another album coming up that this is going to be on?
I've got an album that's going to come out later this year, probably after summer, and I've got a single that's coming out next week on the 12th, which is a lot of fun. It's a very fun song about an experience I had a few years ago. And there'll be a couple more singles, hopefully a couple of festivals that are in talks. We've got this little tour, headline tour, which we've already almost sold out most of the shows, and then an album into summer or after summer.
And what's that journey been like for you then? You know, I guess what is it like to kind of put your own album out there? And then, you know, is it a very different process when you've then been picked up by a label? And, you know, how would you say your sound and your approach has evolved over that time?
Well, the first album that I put out in 2013 was really kind of 3 years later than it should have been, because I recorded it. Maybe I recorded it in 2000. I think I recorded 2010 or 2011 in Nashville, and it was with a label. And by the time I put the album out, it wasn't with the label that I had first signed with. So that was really about getting it off my chest, so that I could, because I was proud of the work and no one had heard it, and I wanted to move on. And I didn't want it to feel like it was for nothing, even though I knew it was for nothing. I didn't want people to think that I just, you know, there was no music. I know that people were asking to hear what I've been up to. So that was a great release for me. This record it's just exactly what I wanted to be, with the wonderful producer that I'm working with, Matty Benbrook, who's worked with the likes of, you know, Paolo Nutini, Jack Savaretti, Dido, Faithless. And so I'm basically just making an album. I'm making an album of however many songs, and 10 to 14 songs, where there will not be a weak link. That's the aim. And I want this album just to make you feel good. And so I'm not going on anything apart from instinct, nor is Matty, who's producing. So it's exciting because there are no rules, really. It's just what feels right and what's our gut say. And I think that is quite telling when you listen to it.
And in terms of how you would characterize your sound, or perhaps kind of trace your influences, you know, who would you say maybe some of the artists, you know, that are fed into the music you create, and where you think you know your music might sit in terms of genre?
Well, I always had kind of a bit of difficulty kind of trying to pin down, if there was one sound, what sound that would be that I wanted to be. But I think that this record will have elements of people that I love, whether it's, you know, kind of 60s and 70s, Mark Bolan, T-Rex, and Bowie. There'll be a kind of a crossover of soul as well, in the same way that Bowie did soul, or even Mark Bolan. You know, if you listen to those songs, they got these chugging beats and amazing hooky melodies, and then they'll have these kind of big, quite soul-y choruses where you've got a huge kind of crowd of people singing. So I'd like to say that it will be a merge of genres, this record, at least 2 or 3, but it will be cohesive, and it will be a journey.
Mm. And are there any sort of major themes that you think kind of connects through it, or each song is kind of its own encapsulated little moment?
I wouldn't say there's a major theme or one theme throughout the whole thing. I'd say there's probably multiple, but you know, there's a lot of love songs. There's a few songs about living in the moment and taking nothing for granted. And there's a couple songs that are, one of them's written about when I was 19, and you know, it's a song about me kind of experiencing movie life for the first time, and being around, you know, Hollywood actors, and feeling overwhelmed and completely out of place, and just completely naive little Toby running around trying to keep up. So there's certainly a mix of things.
And in terms of playing live, I mean, is that something that you've always loved to do? I mean, I know the pandemic was sort of a bit disastrous in that sense, being able to actually get out in front of audiences, and it seems like a really nice range of places you've got on there, like Brighton and, you know, the Lafayette in London. So, you know, what can fans be looking forward to, and what are you looking forward to about playing those gigs?
Well, the shows are it's really exciting. We're doing 4 shows. We're doing Bristol, Manchester, London, and Oxford, and we're playing. I mean, in Oxford, we're playing the large rooms, so that'll be a huge jump up to the amount of people there. And as I said, we've almost sold out at least half the tour, 3/4 of the tour. I'm excited to play in Manchester and Bristol because I've never played in either of those places. Manchester's got such an amazing music history, as does Bristol, but Manchester's just, that's really exciting, especially to play at the Deaf Institute. I can't wait to play. I'm going to be playing old catalogue. I mean, stuff that's been released in the last few years, but there will be a few songs that are brand new that no one's ever heard before, including the single that comes out next week on the 12th. So it's exciting to try different things. It'll be a longer set, and to large crowds generally. So I'm just pumped, and it would be great because normally when I played a show before, I've never had kind of like lots of them in quick succession. It's normally like one show and then 3 months later maybe have another show. This is going to be 4 dates within an 8 or 9 day period, and so that's really exciting because I won't be suffering from that feeling of euphoria the next day, or euphoria on the night, and then the next day, oh, it's all over.
And in terms of your kind of future ambitions, is there any venue you'd love to play, a collaboration you'd love to do? I mean, I guess this album release is going to be a big milestone, so maybe you're just waiting to reach that. But have you got your sort of your sights set on other things beyond that as well?
I would love to. I mean, I guess as large a crowd as possible is the dream, but I suppose in the kind of the near future, Shepherd's Bush Empire. If I could sell that out and do a headline gig in, I don't know, 6 months' time or 10 months' time, that would be a good feat. That'd be something that I'd be very, very pleased with. And I think gig wise, instead of actually the size of venue, I think more the ability to travel and play gigs and sell to have lots of fans in crowds in other countries. I think that would be for me the greatest milestone as of yet. Yeah.
And sort of taking a step back as well, because alongside all of this music stuff, you've of course been doing all your acting. So did both things kind of happen simultaneously for you, or was there one that was kind of more your goal and you sort of fell into the other? How did the two kind of interact and have interacted so far in your career?
Well, I left school for a record deal, and the aim was always to go to drama school. But when I got the music opportunity, that kind of went out the window, sorry. So then I went and did 3 years of recording between us, like London, Nashville, LA. And I was missing acting at the same time. And so I kind of went round another way, and I was submitting auditions and things. And I met an agent in LA who very kindly offered to help. Didn't take me on, but offered to help and sent me things. And I think when I landed my first film, that kind of sealed the working relationship. And so I've never stopped making music. And the whole time that I've been acting, music hasn't gone anywhere. I just haven't released maybe as much as people expect me to. I'd say there's a combination of maybe the sound wasn't quite ready, or I wasn't quite ready, or I had to go through some life stuff first. But they both work, simultaneously, and they both provide different creative outlets to me, and they definitely both keep me happy and sane to be able to do both of them. I think it's for me, it's the dream. So as long as I can keep on doing that, I'll be a happy man.
And in terms of the roles you've done so far, I mean, Game of Thrones, absolutely sort of mammoth, sort of production and show. And then, of course, as Andrea Bocelli, have you had some highlights, and what been sort of like the best bits of what you've done so far?
Game of Thrones was amazing, hugely overwhelming and wonderful and exciting. And I was so honored to be on a set of that scale, on a show that big. Basically at the height of its success. As you mentioned, Andrea Bocelli, working on that was extraordinary. I got to spend a lot of time with him, which was probably one of the best moments I've ever had in my career. Like a couple-week period with him. And I also spent a lot of time with Antonio Banderas as well, who was a childhood hero of mine. When he was in Zorro, and both those people were just so charming and lovely, and so far I think that's been as good as as it could possibly be. I don't know how I could trump those experiences because they were both so lovely. When I did a film that's coming out, it's come out in America on Amazon and iTunes, and it comes out in the UK this month, which is called Coffee Wars, with Kate Nash and Sally Phillips and Hugh Dennis and Freddie Fox, Monica Jackson, Owain Arthur, all sorts of, an incredibly talented, funny bunch of people. And that was also a highlight because I love comedy and I haven't done as much as I'd like to, or I intend to. And that film, I think it was something like 8 weeks of laughing and being daft with beautiful people. So yeah, that was up there too.
And you kind of play the villain, which I think must actually often be more fun sometimes than playing like the hero of a story.
100%.
Like your character.
Yeah, 100%. Playing the villain is dreamy. I would happily enjoy a whole career of playing villains. The character is called Rudy. He's as you've seen, he's got a very interesting haircut. He is in a film about veganism, and the character Jo, which is Kate Nash, on her quest to make people more aware of other kind of milk options that aren't dairy. You have Rudy, who is this meat-eating, dairy-guzzling, nasty, slightly psychotic character who just loves to mess around with Kate's character. And there were lots of spinning on my heels and twirls and, all sorts of fun things. So, yeah.
And did you have to keep that moustache in between, or seeing that when you were filming it?
I did actually. No, I didn't. What is it? Let me think. What did I have? Was that on? So no. So that was added. So that wasn't real.
Ah.
But I remember the haircut on the first day. I went to go and have my hair cut, and I convinced the hairdresser that you can't chop curly hair. You just can't. It doesn't work. It's actually not possible, because if you do, I don't even know what my excuse was, but I was just trying so hard, and he was like, "That's not what the director wants," and I was like, "No, I'm just telling you. I can tell the." So I went to go and speak to the director, and I told him, I said, I've just been talking to to Tom. You can't chop curly hair," and he was like, "We'll give it a go." I was like, "Yeah," he called my bluff. So that took some time to get over, and in the end, I quite enjoyed it actually.
Mm. And you're doing another series with ITVX, is that right?
I did a series, so that was a few years ago. It's just finally come out, and it's just come on ITVX, yeah, which is a lot of fun. So we had some really cool musicians with Carl Barat from the Libertines, Elvis Costello, Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy. We also had James Corden in it for a cameo, and that was also done with who are now good friends. So lots and lots of love in all these projects.
Mm. And I saw, I was going to ask about, would you ever do something on screen with your sister? I saw you did actually do a short before. Is that the only thing that you've sort of done together in terms of acting?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did a short a long time ago. I'm sure we'll work with each other at some point in the future. It'd be mad not to. We both love it, and that's what we both do. But who knows when? There's a lot of stuff that we both have on in our own kind of paths. But yeah, I'd love to do that, 100%.
And seeing how she has just gone, I don't know, from strength to strength, and now she's just kind of exploded, absolute sort of superstar. That must just be, is it a lot of pride? Do you have some sort of sibling, rivalry, or or you're only ever supporting each other?
Sibling rivalry is a question that gets asked a lot, and my answer to that is I think that if you have the option where your sibling is going to kill it on the highest level due to their talent and work ethic, or you were to choose the opposite, you would choose what I think is the most amazing situation ever, which is that your sister is absolutely killing it. And I have nothing but pride and love and respect, huge respect for the way that she deals with it. And I wouldn't wish for anything else.
Do you have a favourite thing that she's done that you've seen recently? You can't.
I would say that probably my all-time favourite is Lady Macbeth. I thoroughly enjoyed A Good Person, which I watched recently. I thought that was an absolutely fantastic film. She is exceptional. I thought the story is wonderful. The script's lovely. I thought Zach did a wonderful job. And I think Little Women was incredible too. Her performance in that was just so funny and brought so much joy and so much energy. There's a lot.
And maybe you'll do more music together in future, or do you think this was just kind of a bit of a one-off?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the chances of working with any of my siblings in, whether it be music or acting for that matter, or something else creative, the chances are pretty high, because that's what we've all been doing since we were kids. And so I know that any moment or opportunity we get to be able to do something fun, we probably will do that. So I'm sure there'll be lots of fun things that we will do in the years to come.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of acting, do you have any kind of bucket list directors you'd love to work with, or genres you'd like to try?
I would just love to play I'd love to play more villains. I'd love to play kind of a slightly psychotic, scary person where there are no rules. It could be a cross between that and comedy. I don't mind, but something like that. That's what I'd love to do.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me, and can't wait for your gigs in London. Hopefully I'll make it down to one of them, and best of luck with the album release as well later this year.
Thank you so much. Please come along to one of the shows. We're playing, as I said, we're playing Amira in London. So please come along. It'd be great to have you.
Amazing. Lovely to chat to you, Toby. Have a great day.
Lovely chatting. Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye. Bye.